Today's is an explosive and hotly disputed new piece from Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Seymour Hersh alleging the Obama administration cherry-picked the intelligence it had about who used sarin gas to kill hundreds of Syrian civilians in August. Now here's what President Obama said when addressing the nation on September 10th and making the case for military action.
We know the Assad regime was responsible. In the days leading up to August 21st, we know that Assad's chemical weapons personnel prepared for an attack near an area where they mix sarin gas. They distributed gas masks to their troops. Then they fired rockets from a regime-controlled area into 11 neighborhoods that the regime has been trying to wipe clear of opposition forces. If we fail to act, the Assad regime will see no reason to stop using chemical weapons.
Hersh, however, says that it's not so crystal clear that Assad was the one who definitively used the chemical weapons. Now, to be clear, CNN has not verified any of Hersh's reporting. But let's bring in Seymour Hersh to explain. So what exactly are you reporting?
First of all, I'm not saying I know, but I don't think our administration knew either. And don't forget, we're talking about a president who wanted to go to war against a country for which there's no national security interest here. We're not threatened by what's going on in Syria. He was talking about going to the war on the basis of having a case. What you just heard him say was just not so. We didn't have that kind of information in real time. In fact, I doubt if that my friends tell me that that was a story just put together. The basic real point that I make is that we know, and we've known since spring, that the most radical jihadi, if you will, opposition group, rebel group, al-Nusra, we're talking about serious Salafists, Wahhabis, what you will, had access to sarin. There was a lot of intelligence reporting about it. The White House can say anything they want about it, but that is a fact, that they had access to sarin. So when the incident took place, the one thing they didn't do is they didn't consider the possibility that al-Nusra could have been one of the people that involved. They went right away to the notion that it had to be Bashar, and the world's press went with them, including the American press, and in fact, they didn't have much of a case.
It will not surprise you to hear that the White House is strongly disputing your report. We received this statement from the Director of National Intelligence, spokesman Sean Turner. Quote, "The intelligence clearly indicated that the Assad regime, and only the Assad regime, could have been responsible for the 21st August chemical weapons attack. There's no evidence to support Mr. Hersh's claims to the contrary, and the suggestion that there was any effort to suppress intelligence is simply false." He added to me separately when I said, well, what about this report that Hersh talks about, the CIA report, or this Joint Chiefs looking into whether or not what they should do if there's a contingency to send troops there? They said, as of December 9th, this is Turner again, 2013, no U.S. intelligence agency assesses that the al-Nusra Front has succeeded in developing a capability to manufacture sarin.
That's contradictory by what the intelligence they have. And that happens. I mean, this is an embarrassing thing for a president of the United States. If somebody is saying, look, I've got no problem with Obama, I voted for him, I think he's as good a president we're going to have, and bright, but the fact of the matter is, he did not have a case. There's no suggestion anybody in the government has made that we had any information about the president of Syria, Bashar Assad, have any direct role. They've never alleged that, although it's always called Bashar did this, Bashar did that. It's uncomfortable to say it. It's against the stream, but the reality is that inside the American intelligence community, this particular handling of the issue has been causing an awful lot of trouble.
The United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights told reporters in Geneva last week that the UN Commission of Inquiry on Syria's chemical weapons attack, quote, points to the fact that evidence indicates responsibility at the highest level of government, including head of state. Now, I know that the UN report did not say who was responsible. The
UN Commission was talking about war crimes in general, specifically excluded the gas issue because they had no information about it. They're not allowed, the UN, presumably, they're not allowed to make a statement about who did what. They can say that there was a gas attack, but they don't want, they're just, by commission, I guess, they're not allowed to say who did it. I don't know why, because I think there's a lot of evidence to be made available. There is sarin. It was used. The sarin that the Syrian army has a different chemical component than the sarin that would be made by al-Nusra, because the army is more sophisticated, has certain additives. Certainly somebody has looked at that. I don't know why they don't talk about the sarin they have and whether it shows it came from the army or did not. The other thing that one could say is that what the president said suggested that we were watching in real time. What he just heard him say in that bit, we were watching in real time as this incident took place. That's not so. The government has acknowledged
No, they acknowledge that they were not watching in real time. It was after the fact.
And then the question then is, if it's such a wonderful case he has, and they're so sure, why so quick to walk away? Why say after a little heat, why say that we're going to go, all of a sudden he's the constitutionalist, the guy who invaded Tripoli without one worry about the War Powers Act. All of a sudden he's a constitutionalist and wants to go to Congress.
Well, that's a separate issue. But let me just ask you this last question, sir, which is the British, the French both believed that Assad was responsible, or at least the Syrian regime. The Iranians even seem to have indicated that they also held the Assad regime responsible. And there just seemed to be, it's not just the United States. There seemed to be consensus.
Has there been any positive evidence yet? Has anybody said, here's the chemical? Did we know that al-Nusra, no matter what they say, the fact of the matter is the Syrian opposition, and not necessarily the Free Syrian Army, the secular opposition, the Islamist opposition, has access to this stuff. It's not hard to make sarin. You could mix it in the backyard, 2 chemicals, meld it together. The fact is, they have it. We know it. They're not talking about it. It's embarrassing to them. I don't mean to embarrass them, but that's, you know, I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. It was there. They should have been a suspect, and they weren't looked at.
All right. Obviously, the White House disputes the fact that your assertion that al-Nusra has it, but...
Let me just say this. Time's running out. When I did Abu Ghraib, that was a different White House. The comment they made for the record was, Hersh is just throwing crap. That was the word they used, against the wall to see what sticks. Nobody likes unpleasant stories, and they will deny them, period.
Sir, it's your track record for not just Abu Ghraib, but also the My Lai massacre that is the reason that you're here right now.
There you go.
I respect your work, but it's just obviously a hotly disputed story.
Of course.
All right. Sy Hersh, thank you so much.